Hi, this is Eric, and welcome to Voices of the Dead podcast. And I'm sitting with Nicolai Caine. And so, why don't you tell us about who you are, where you're from, and what brings you to the show today?
My name is Nicolai. I'm originally from the Midwest of Indiana, and I live in New England for the past 11 years. I'm a musician, an artist, and haunt actor. What brings me to the podcast is that I am trying to find more people that would possibly be interested in my musical project that I've been doing for the last couple of years called Knosiva. It's an industrial heavy metal project, and I've gone on the radio a couple times and just trying to get my name out there and my stuff out there a little bit more and find people who might be interested.
That's cool. And when you say you find people interested, I know you mean obviously people who like the music, but also are you looking for other musicians to collaborate with, or?
Always looking to collaborate with other musicians. Once I release a few more songs, I would like to actually try to find some more live members. This is a project that I've been doing mainly by myself. I've got one other guy that I work with out of Texas on some things, but the vision of all of this, the lyrics of all of this, things like that is 100% me, and that's something that I've been trying to find when it's ready to move forward.
Okay, that's cool. So, how do you guys do that back and forth from Texas?
You can work with people and do a lot of kinds of things, whether it's music collaborations or any other kind of art installment collaborations from long distance. Basically, what I do is I reached out to him and I say, "Hey, I'm looking to write a new song." I give him the ideas of what I'm looking for, and we kind of bounce things back and forth, whether it's a guitar riff, a keyboard part, lyrics, imagery, any kind of idea that we have. And for the first song that I released, Eternal Serpent Scream, which is on all streaming platforms, that was something that I basically reached out to him and said, "Hey, this is what I want. This is how I want it to sound. Help me do this." I paid him for his time, and basically he did everything other than the imagery and the lyrics and the concept of everything.
With technology nowadays, like that must be a lot easier than it used to be.
It's easier. The only downside is I'm very much someone who likes to be in the room to kind of feel the vibe of something that I'm creating. You kind of get like a adrenaline rush and the sense of euphoria when you realize like you're in a room with other people and they're playing something and you can actually walk over and kind of, you know, incorporate your own thoughts and processes to somebody rather than like either being on the phone with somebody while you're sitting on the computer at the same time and trying to convey your thoughts and your ideas to each other long distance that way. I would much prefer to be in a room physically with somebody creating music, but there are other upsides to this as well. The upsides being that, creative control, I can say this is what I want, this is how I'm going to do it, and there's really nobody to argue with me about it. So that's a good thing. But again, the downside is I would much rather be in a room with people physically doing this. It's just easier to come up with ideas.
Yeah, I get that. I used to be in a band a long time ago, so I understand all that. Like, but it seems like people have gotten disconnected with technology nowadays because like now it's like nobody wants to be in the same room with anybody anymore.
That's
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 just the
the
way.
other thing. Yeah, that's the other thing that I've kind of enjoyed but also miss in some odd way is that there's no there's no disputes, like I said, about things, but at the same time, like you're also not having that camaraderie, that brotherhood, and being in person and just enjoying the energy of the room together, creating something. So that's the downside of it.
That makes sense. Um, what inspired you to start this project, the particular one you're doing now?
The project that I'm doing now is called Knosiva, and what inspired me to do this is basically, in the most simplistic way I can describe this, healing from trauma. And anybody who knows me personally knows that I'm no stranger to grief or trauma, and I wanted to start a journey in some way or another. You could refer to it as a spiritual journey or some form of inner working, shadow work, whatever you want to call it. But I basically had been on a search for the last 2 decades of my life trying to piece together parts of me that I had left in the past through trauma and grief. And I just started to feel that I wasn't who I used to be. So I started this journey because I wanted to basically take all that trauma, all that grief, that pain, that anger, and rather than use it in a way that's going to destroy you, whether it's drugs, alcohol, shitty relationships, whatever, I wanted to put it into a form that I could use all that anger and that pain and suffering in a positive message. And when people hear this, I want people to understand that they're not alone and that other people in the world feel the same way that they do, whether it's whatever they're dealing with in the moment or something that they've been through in the past, that they can get through it. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
I really like it a lot. I listened to it many times on Spotify.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I like the rhythm and the beat and everything. That's really cool, and the vocals. And and you do the vocals and everything?
Yes, the vocals that was something else that I had never done like that before. I've done many different kinds of projects in my life, but I had never really done the more screaming type of vocals before. It wasn't something I was even sure I could do, and I just decided to test it out and try it one day. And over the course of the last year and a half, 2 years, I guess got the balls and courage enough to just do it, and then I recorded it and came up with this song.
That's cool. And I did notice you were posting about a new song you were working on.
Yes.
Do you want to talk about that, or?
I will loosely touch on that.
Okay.
Mainly because I don't entirely 100% know where it's going. But I have a new song that I've been working on for a little bit, and I'm very excited about it. This one's going to be a lot more get up and move around energy than Eternal was. Eternal was more of a very cathartic type of song. It was supposed to be slow and very thematic and drawn out for what it was about. But this new song is going to be more, get up, jump around, bang your head, get pissed off. That's the vibe I'm going for this new one. I'm not really going to go into details more than, probably any of that because I don't know exactly where it's going other than where it's currently at. But the more that I work on it, the more that I show teasers to people, the more that I show teasers to, my close friends in person, it seems to be getting people amped up and they want more. I've had people message me recently and ask me about it, and they want more, and that's why I'm doing this.
That's cool. So, what's the one thing you never expected? If anything, I don't know.
One thing that I really never expected is that people would ever care enough about anything that I've ever written enough to the point to reach out to me. Like the other day, somebody reached out to me and said that, this is like top 3 in my playlist. I play it multiple times a week. Like, I really love the energy of this. I love what you're talking about. I want you to let me know when there's more. And when there is more, I would love to have, some form of merch. If you're going to make merch, please let me know. Like, I've never had anybody be that interested in something that I'm doing. And to show it to my other musician friends who are way more talented and diverse than I am, and to have them sit there wide-eyed and genuinely be interested enough to listen to the whole song and then to tell me like this is really good, I'm proud of you, like those are things that I never thought would happen. I would never thought that I'd be on the radio either.
That's definitely something to be proud of,
It's a foot in the door to say the least.
Yeah. I'm gonna touch back a little bit. Oh, like when was the first time you decided to write music?
I would say that my journey as a musician started roughly when I was about 15. My parents decided they were going to get me a drum set, which was a mistake. And I had a drum set for a couple years, and then I told my parents, I think the following year, that I really wanted to learn to play guitar. I just wasn't good at drums. And then from there, I just kind of built my arsenal, so to speak, of equipment. I would find hand-me-downs. Friends would just get rid of stuff, sell stuff, trade stuff. And I would just slowly build instruments little by little so that I had everything I needed to the point if I ever wanted to record an album by myself, I could do so.
That's cool. I have a lot of friends that have done that in the past, and they have like whole studios at their house.
I don't have
So
a studio yet. That is a lifelong dream for me to be able to have a studio. And it's going to take some more time and a lot more money, but I've got more stuff now than I've ever had in my life.
it'll take time, but when you build it, they will come. I don't know if
Exactly.
you heard of that thing, you know?
Yeah, Field of Dreams reference.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yep. Um. So w- with doing your current project, what do you think the biggest challenge for writing the music was?
For me personally, I think the biggest challenge is the lyrics because I know what I want to say. I just don't know how I want to go about writing it and how it's going to be said. Like the inflection of, for example, when I was writing Eternal, there were certain parts of the song where I knew exactly how I wanted it to be spoken or projected out in a screaming vocal style. And then there were other parts where I wasn't sure what to do with it. And I would sit and kind of fight with myself back and forth for a couple months. And eventually it would just come out the way that I wanted. I would try different things and experiment with different vocal techniques and ideas. Um, but that's just the thing, is like sometimes I have no idea how I want it until I start physically writing it or physically recording it. And sometimes in the middle of things, I'll get an idea and just change and just go with the flow on the spot.
Hmm. Interesting. I um. So I would like to know, like, who are your biggest influences for like music? That should be interesting to find out.
That is a very long-winded conversation.
Is it?
The best way that I can describe my music taste is very eclectic. I listen to a little bit of everything, and when I say that, I mean literally a little bit of everything. Um, but as far as like the kind of stuff that I'm doing is I'm inspired by a lot of like the old industrial stuff like Skinny Puppy, Ministry, um, you know, Nitzer Ebb, things of like all that type of style, but then like obviously things like Marilyn Manson, Rob Zombie, Rammstein, the stuff that most people know. And then there's other things that I'm inspired by that are more like underground or things that a lot of people may have heard of, but they've never really listened to. There's a band from Japan that's been around for a long time, that Jonathan Davis of Korn actually found and brought to his Family Values tour in the early 2000s, and that's a band called Deering Gray. Their vocalist is an absolute madman. It just the stuff that he can do, the sounds that he can make come out of his throat is just mesmerizing to me. So I've learned like how to try not to put myself in a box when it comes to genres of music, ideas for genres of music, what I'm writing and how I'm writing it. I just try to keep an open mind. But I listen to anything from music from the 20s to electronic music, industrial music, metal music, folk music. I just enjoy listening to music and creating music.
That's cool. I kind of thought that a lot of those bands were going to come up, so I wanted to ask though, because I'm always curious, like what people are into.
Of course.
Because the feeling I got like when listening to it was like I got like a darker version of like Ministry with some Marilyn Manson thrown in there, maybe.
Yes. Yeah, there was definitely
That's
some of that, leaning more towards, like, Eternal specifically, I was leaning a lot towards the darker, thematic elements of the song and what it was about and how the ominous background comes in and fades out, like the choir. That was definitely a direct inspiration from Darren Gray from their album called Ouroboros, which is interesting as well because what I was singing about was a lot to do with Carl Jung and Ouroboros being used in a methodical sense, or sorry, metaphorical sense of death and rebirth and transformation and all of that. And that's literally what that song is about.
That's cool. And do you have any other musical um projects that you do besides this one, or is this? I know you're on here just to talk about that mostly, but I like to
No,
touch base on other
I
stuff you might be doing. Or
yes, I have another project. It's like an electronic. Started out as a synthwave project, kind of turned more into just an electronic experimental thing called Ghoul King. It originally was called Retrospector, but due to legality reasons, I did not know at the time there was another person somewhere that's been around for a long time that goes by that, so I changed my name. Not necessarily something that I will or won't stick with that name, but I have one release as well, but that's entirely all by myself, and I do that more for fun. Um, but I was planning to try and release at least a 6 to 10 track EP of some stuff here soon that I've been working on for the last 3, 4 years now. I also write folk music inspired by a lot of people like Neil Young, Donovan, um, early Beatles stuff, just a little bit of everything, I guess.
oh, that's cool. So you really are pretty much into a little bit of everything.
I try to be. I spend a lot of time playing with synthesizers, anything that makes noises, sampling. I've really loved sampling, and I'm very inspired by a lot of, especially older industrial music. You listen to a lot of that stuff, and there's samples used from horror movies and TV shows and conversations that people have had with public figures from back in the day, and I'm very inspired to use a lot of that stuff in my music as well.
That's cool. And I'm assuming that like once you get something going, more songs and like maybe an actual like band members and stuff. Will you? Is that your goal to play out eventually? Once you get that far?
That is what the end goal for me is I'm trying to just create enough that way I can kind of have like a, I don't know, maybe like a 4-track, 6-track EP and send it to people that I'm friends with that are musicians. And then from there have them, just kind of shop it around to people, and see if they would be interested. Like, hey, do you want to be a hired gun for this project? Do you want to do this with me? That's the goal as of right now. But as of right
That's cool.
now, it's to, make at least a couple more tracks so that before I can do that.
That's cool. Yeah, like whenever down the line in the future, always you can always hit me up. Like, and I can always throw your name around to people. Like, I know a lot of people that do shows and
Okay.
stuff like that. And there's
I
like a
would
new club
appreciate
opening
that.
up here too. There's actually a new club opening up, a venue opening up here that I bought into. So I considered part owner, probably like 0.1% or something, but but it gives me props to a lot of what they got going on, and I can also do my own events there, from my
You,
understanding. So
you'll have to send me that information for that club because I think I've heard of it. I just would like to know some more information about it, where it is and all that.
oh yeah, sure, definitely.
Okay.
It's a pretty big one. It didn't open yet, but it's supposed to be opening really soon. So
Yeah, I've been hearing through the grapevine there's supposed to be something, but I wasn't sure if it was actually happening or not.
yeah. Um, anything else you want to touch base on that I haven't covered?
Uh,
Going through my notes and stuff. Covered a good portion of everything I wrote down.
yeah, you were kind of asking me some questions earlier. And again, you said you can edit a lot of this, so me
Oh
saying
yeah,
anything right now you can cut out later. But um, one of the things that I personally wanted to say was that I'm actually like, despite like the things that are happening in the world right now, it's kind of like a catch-22. But the things that are going on in the world right now are very exciting for music in certain aspects, because if you look at a lot of the stuff that's going on right now, you look at a lot of the way that things are being done in the world right now, if you look at the way that people are dressing and all of those type of things, and kind of put it all just in one big circle, a lot of what's happening right now is kind of what was happening back in the 90s when I was a kid. And people are getting amped up, people are getting pissed off again. The alternative and punk scene are starting to ramp up again because of all the political stuff that's going on in the world right now. And that was a really big thing back in the late 80s and early 90s. Is, they were coming out of everything that was happening because of their parents, and then you had before that the 70s, and that was a big revolution that was going on. And just everything that millennials and Gen Z have dealt with since they've been around, a lot of this stuff is very like amping people up. And I've noticed that the music's gotten angrier, it's gotten more political, and there's been a real big push in the music scene for that type of stuff for a while. And I've noticed that it's slowly starting to come back.
Yeah, right. I never thought about it that way until you mentioned it, but now I'm thinking about it. You're absolutely right. I think so. Yeah.
There's some
Like,
bands that I've been seeing lately that are like popping up on TikTok and Instagram, and there's a group that's, I think they're from Australia, but this guy looks like a spitting image of Scott Weiland from Stone Temple Pilots when he had the red hair and the leather pants with no shirt. And their music kind of sounds like the band Live from the 90s, but like more pissed off sounding. So I've noticed that 90s alternative energy, that grunge, the the newer generation's version of like quote unquote like, the goth scene and new metal and all that stuff is coming back in a big, big way. And you can see it just if you look at outside and the way that people are dressing and the haircuts and color, and it's coming in the music right now too. And it's really starting to amp up people. And I've been noticing a lot of that lately too.
oh yeah, definitely. I agree. I agree. I never really thought about it till you brought it up, but now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, wow, like he's right, definitely.
Hmm.
So yeah, I I try to get out the shows if I can as much as I used to, but I try to.
Well, I mean, everything's too damn expensive nowadays.
Oh, I remember local shows used to be $3 to $5 when I was growing up.
Yeah.
Uh, now it's like 20, $25, sometimes 15, but
Yeah. Pretty much. Yeah.
and it adds up, and it seems like there's more shows than there used to be because like when I was growing up, there was like one show every week or something, but now there's like 4 or 5 shows every week. Not count. I'm saying locally. You know what I mean? Like if I want to go further out, there's even more.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. There's always something somewhere.
Oh yeah. But all right, and if you, I'm gonna ask you this question: if you could give your 18-year-old self advice, what would it be?
That's a really good question. I appreciate you asking that. Um,
Look, I've actually been waiting to ask someone that, so I decided to ask you that.
I think you asked probably the best person then, because I've had a lot of time to reflect on, the things that have happened the last handful of years. Um, Especially coming back recently from a trip that I went on to kind of do some soul searching, so to speak. It's interesting that you're asking me this question. I would definitely start with, slow down, take it easy, and just enjoy life as much as possible, and to not worry about things that you can't control. Definitely spend as much time with your loved ones as you can, because when you're that young, you don't realize how quickly and how easily people can slip away, whether it's through passing, or you just grow apart and move away. All kinds of different things happen, and you don't know where you're going to be, or even if you're going to be alive the next day. So take every day one step at a time and just enjoy it to the fullest while you can.
I think that could also be some good advice for somebody out there. You never know.
Which is another reason that maybe not necessarily the song that I'm currently working on, but in the next couple songs I've been writing for a while, one of those songs I want to definitely be about how I don't want people to feel alone, because mental illness is like one of the worst things that people deal with on a daily basis, and this country just takes it as a joke and laughs at people and doesn't want to help people. Um, and that's something that I
Yeah,
definitely wanted to write about because I want other people to hear those words and read those lyrics and understand that they're not alone. And if I can help somebody or make somebody smile or change somebody's day for the better, that's a power that you can't buy.
yeah, especially nowadays. It's like ever since it seems like ever since COVID, and then like now this everything that's going on now, and it's like everybody.
Absolutely.
It's like mental awareness. Just it's all over the place right now. It's like crazy.
Yeah, absolutely.
But so I think I'm gonna um call it a day on this interview, unless you have something else you want to touch base on.
I mean, we got a
But I
couple
do
more
like the
minutes before 30 minutes because you said you didn't want to go over 30.
yeah, like I usually stick 20 and 30, usually more or less on 30 minutes. But and
I
also if you want to plug your Facebook and stuff like that, like you do that, like all your socials, or that way people know where to find find you on Facebook and everything.
Yes. So that was one of the things that I was going to do. So you can find my direct page, follow me on Facebook. It's Nicolai Caine, Nicolaicane. Follow my page, Knosiva. That's Knosiva, to keep up with the project that I'm currently doing and for future updates of music. I'm also on Instagram as Mr. Kane13, and feel free to message me anytime to talk about collaborations. I'm always looking to make music with other people.
All right, sounds good. Is that everything pretty much?
I think so, unless you had any other questions.
Well, I went through my notes. I'm surprised I went through them all. It just seems quick, but it's been almost 30 minutes, so I guess not.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody else is looking to, find more people to do interviews with, always looking to do that stuff as well. Try and get my stuff out there as much as possible, and this seems like a pretty good way to do it. I've gotten a lot of good response from um, these interviews, and my radio play interview has almost 700 views at this point, and that was another thing that I never thought would ever happen in my life. So that's a big honor to have people interested enough to listen to me just sit and talk.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you for coming on in the show, and I appreciate the support, and you wanted to come on, and this is my outlet for myself, so I decided to do this again. So,
And I
yeah.
appreciate you having me on as well.
All right, and I hope everything works out for you. Always reach out to me, like especially if you want to come back on, you got some stuff going on you want to talk about.
Sure.
Feel free. I've always had people on in the past, like multiple times, So,
Okay.
I thank you for coming on, and have a good night.
Thank you. You as well.
All right, thanks.